So before I get started, today is the 8th of March 18. Is that significant? No, not at all. It is absolutely zero significance, and it's a zero value piece of trivia that I've just given you. But the date does look nice and symmetrical when you write it down. Randomness. So here we are again, and I'm going to have a bit of a rant. A couple of weeks ago I had a sort of bit of a rant about the Jupiter and the fact that they've sort of stopped supporting the Jupiter, as in Roland have stopped supporting the Jupiter, and the editor seems to have been pulled from the App Store, so you can't put the editor onto a new piece of or a new iPad, which I feel a bit aggrieved about, if I'm honest, that they've stopped support for it, because these newer synthesizers are all software driven, and because they are software driven, you know, either the software house is going to continue to update the software and patch it, or that piece of software generally tends to die. And what I don't want to see is, I don't want some of these synthesizers just to wither and die. I know it might be a great marketing ploy out there, Roland, to let your synthesizers wither and die, but really from a customer loyalty point of view, it stinks. Really does. So anyway, what am I going to have a rant about? Haha! He says, this is my System 8. And the reason it's here is because I've been reloading the Mac with drivers, following the great Mac crash and Mac rebuild. And it's just taken me a while to get around to reloading all the drivers for this stuff onto my Mac. So it's out of the rack while I've been doing that. And of course, it's got the nice brushed aluminium ends on it, so it looks a bit like the Jupiter as well. The only thing I would say about this, and I sort of defended it when I first got it, but now looking back on it, I do think it is a little bit plasticky, which means it's nice and easy, nice and light. You know, being a 49 note keyboard, but it's nice and light to do that with. You know, I couldn't do that with the Jupiter very easily, although my muscles are improving. But yeah, I do think in places it is a little bit plasticky. But beggars can't be choosers. You know, we don't buy these things necessarily for the case. We buy these things because of what they do. So why did I buy this? Well, I answered this on the channel a couple of weeks ago, on one of the mailbag sessions. So I bought this synthesizer predominantly because it was sold with a Jupiter 8 and a Juno 106 plugin, and I wanted both of those plugins. So I went out and I splashed the cash. In fact, I had this on pre-order the moment that Roland announced it was going on sale with that specification on it. I had this on pre-order, and I had one of the first to come into the UK. Okay, so that was non-demo. Fantastic, absolutely love it. So I got this in the fall of 2016. I think I got it in November, if I remember correctly, when it came in. And then Roland then in December, Christmas came early for System 8 users, because we got a patch update in December that gave us the 106 plugin. So the Jupiter 8 plugin is in position 1, and the Juno plugin has gone into position 2, and that's where they will live from now on. So whatever you do with this thing, you'll always have those plugins in those positions. Anyway, so that was a patch they released in December 16 to give us that functionality. In April 17, they released another patch that had some minor, or one or two major, but most of it was minor bug fixes for the software on this thing. And we've had absolutely nothing released for this platform since April 17. So we're now just coming, well, mid-March, so April's just around the corner in 2018. We've had nothing on this platform whatsoever in over a year. And that actually makes me quite annoyed, because I've bought into this platform. Okay, so I've bought it because of the Jupiter and the Juno. I also have bought the System 100 and the ProMars plug outs for this thing and my System 1. So I own those as well. So I've spent some money on this and the plug outs, but I don't think it's being actively supported by Roland. Now, Roland over the last year has been really good at banging out some new products. So we've had the DA5, we've had the TR9, the TR8, the SEO1, SEO2, and a number of other products in sort of like the in the keyboard space or the electronica space. A lot of the DJ products, so the sort of was it the DJ808, the 505, the 202, Sorrento. You know, there's been a number of products that have been knocked out in the sort of Aira and boutique ranges, and they've been going out of their way to knock this stuff out and bring it to market, which is all well and good, and they're making a pretty penny on it apparently, if you were to read the forums and the websites. But I do feel they are doing that at the expense of the current platforms. So, as I said, this hasn't had an update in over a year. If you read the forums, I'm a member of a couple of System 8 forums, and there are a number of issues that people are spotting and bringing to the fore. Now, I can't think of one straight off the top of my head today, but there are a number of issues of people that could quite easily be fixed by a software fix if Roland were to actively trawl through the forums and monitor the forums and bring them to the fore. But I just don't feel they're doing that. And I say, here we are 1 year down the line with no updates, no software fixes for this platform, and I feel that's wrong. I really do feel that's wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a lot, you know, us as a keyboardist can do about it. I mean, we are locked into the manufacturer's cycle, but I do think because of the fact that this is software driven, you know, they could probably do so much more with this that they haven't done. So, you know, they released, I mean, this is the JX03 boutique, which I've been playing with, and you know, that was released, but why don't they do a JX03 plug out for that? And why don't they take some of their other classic synthesizers and produce plug outs for this? I know maybe they're not all analog synthesizers they can push, but maybe some of the digital stuff might load onto here. It'd be quite nice to be able to play around with some of that stuff on here. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you buy into a platform and then you feel like you've been forgotten. Now, you know, some of the other platforms that I've got, you know, the manufacturers went on supporting those platforms for years after they stopped actually manufacturing the actual item itself. They carried on supplying patches for it. Now, maybe this is a change of role in management that's caused them to lose focus on this stuff. But honestly, don't lose focus on these pieces of equipment, because they are absolutely superb. And I know you're actively marketing this, because again, on the forum fairly recently, there were a number of comments about, you know, the price being jacked up by $200 overnight, which means you are actively marketing this. Otherwise, you wouldn't put a price hike in. So, you know, the question is, you know, you're selling it, support it. That's where we come from. Now, is there something in the wings, we ask ourselves? Don't know the answer to that, but if I were to say, if there was a System 16 coming, what would I want? Well, for starters, I'd like a 76 note keyboard, something with a keyboard sprung like the D70 that I have, because I think the D70 keyboard is absolutely peachy. And I'd like something that upgraded from an 8 voice, which is, or an 8 note polyphonic synthesizer, which is what this System 8 is, to a 16 note polyphonic synthesizer. Because imagine what you could do with a 16 note polyphonic synthesizer with a Jupiter 8 or a Juno 106, or maybe another classic synthesizer. Just imagine what you could do with it. I think it would be pretty awesome, but that's just me, of course. And who listens to me? You know, who takes any notice of what I say? Roland. Maybe one day they might. They've never taken any notice of me when I've had a bitch about the boutiques. They're still pumping out boutiques with no power sockets on them. Hey ho. Right, sit. The other thing that has come out in the last week or so is the TR8s. So, what does the TR8s stand for? Well, in Roland speak, Roland would like the TR8s to stand for sample. In John speak, I turn around and say TR8s is the TR8 on steroids. Now, I have neither seen one of these in the flesh yet, because as far as the toy shop is concerned, they're not in the country yet. Although I can pre-order, and I'm teetering on the edge of ordering one, and then I will sell on my TR8. Of course, the value of the TR8 second-hand is now just going to go off the cliff. But that's horses for courses. You know, you don't become a musician to make money. Of course, you don't. But what do I like about it initially? And it's not the sampling. What I actually like about the TR8s is the fact that it actually has a display on it that actually tells you what's going on. So one of my gripes about some of the Aira equipment, which I've never really spoken about in the past, is the fact that none of it really has a display. They've kept the interfaces really simple. I suppose in homage to sort of some of the older equipment. So, you know, if you look at this, for argument's sake, which is sort of a true representation, this has no digital display on it. You know what you're doing because of the buttons that you are pressing. Okay, that's how the original synthesizer worked. That's how the boutique works. However, when they came to model the D50, which is down here, okay, they couldn't do that without putting a display on. All right, so this one has a display. It's getting rather dusty as well. Sort out. I've actually got cases coming for these, because I find that the problem with these is then you can't get like a red case or a case like this to put over them because it's just too big and cumbersome. So I've actually got some cases that slide over the top to protect them. Coming, let you see those when they arrive. Anyway, so they've had to put a display on there. And I do like the idea of having a display, not because it's got a display, but because it actually, the unit itself tells you what it's doing or what you're trying to do, and whether you're being an nincompoop or something like that, trying to do something it doesn't like you doing. So I do like that. I like the fact it comes preloaded, apparently, with all the plug outs that you had to originally buy for the TR8. That's a bit of a pain, but hey ho. It is considerably more than what the TR8 was. I think I seem to remember the TR8 coming in at around about £400, and this one's about nearly £700. But then you've got this additional sort of ability to load samples into it and trigger samples off the pads, and have this sort of this idea of being able to build the drum kits up and save them with sounds from different sources. I like all those sort of ideas. But yeah, I haven't jumped in yet and ordered those. Probably for some reasons that I may go into maybe in a few weeks' time when I've got more certainty of what the hell's going on. So, TR8 on steroids has just been released. Another one in the Aira range. Yet Roland have still not addressed the issue with the MX1. And again, that's been getting some airtime on the channel, with a number of people sort of picking up on, you know, on the boutique issue. Yes, there is splitter cables. I have got the splitter cables here. I haven't done the experiment yet myself, but I'm assured by numerous people who have been watching these things on the channel, turning around and say, yes, it does work. So I will do that. I just haven't been in the mood for actually making videos in the last couple of weeks, and I may explain why in a few weeks' time. Other than that, I've ranted for 15 minutes. I probably didn't expect to go for 15 minutes today, because I didn't think I had an awful lot to say. Amazing is I can just waffle for 15 minutes. But I am going to shut up now, and I'm going to wish you a very happy rest of your Sunday, or rest of the week if you're watching this. I will warn you that you may be watching this late, and there is a reason for that, is that the editing software on the Mac has decided to play a little bit up. I am in the process of going to see them at Mac again to see why it is acting up. So it may delay this being published for a couple of days, but I shall talk to you next week. Bye-bye. So this is the point in the video where I turn around to you and say, if you enjoyed the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It allows other people to find this content more easily that you have enjoyed. I'm sure by now, if you didn't like the content of the video, you've probably given me a thumbs down, but I'd prefer if you didn't. If you'd like to be notified about when I post additional content to this channel, somewhere about here should be the subscription icon. So please click on there and subscribe to the channel. Over here should be other content that you may enjoy that I've already done or posted to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.